What's going on, guys? So, I had a long night tripping. So, me and my girl had a really deep trip last night. And I mean, I'm still tripping now. But, coming down and came out here. I gotta go to the store. But I wanted to make this video real quick. Just to kind of, give you a little insight or a little third eye view into the trip I just had. So, the trip I just had was one of the deepest trips I've had in a long time. I've done DMT over, I don't know, it doesn't matter how many fucking times I've done DMT. All you need to know really is that I've done DMT enough times to the point where I feel like I know what it is, but what it is can never be explained to someone else. They have to experience it, they have to touch it themselves. Now, I used to think that you could only get there with DMT. I had this kind of, not vendetta against LSD, because I fucking love LSD. It's just, I had this idea that if it wasn't natural, that it couldn't get me to where I wanted to go. Where I wanted to go was inside the tryptamine world. So, what I mean by the tryptamine world, tryptamine meaning the tryptamine class of psychedelics, but it also includes the sergamites, so like LSD, so, LSA, mushrooms, DMT, ayahuasca, that these things can take you to the tryptamine world. I used to think that it was only ayahuasca, DMT, and mushrooms that could take you there. But now that I've done LSD, well over 100 times, probably 200 times, I've had many deep experiences with it, as well as microdoses. I've been using it as a tool to help me create my new album. That's what I was just doing before I came out for this walk, was as the trip kind of started settling down after the peak, when I was on the come down, I decided to work on some music. Worked on this beautiful song that I'm working on. And I was just tweaking the flute and tweaking this, just some of the frequencies in the beat. But as I was tweaking those frequencies, I was explaining to my girl kind of the idea that I have with this album. Really, that's why I'm tripping to the album, and I'm taking psychedelics, and then I'm making the beats while I'm on the psychedelics and listening to the music while I'm on the psychedelics, because I want to be able to tweak the frequencies. I want to be able to tweak, because some of the songs that I have, honestly, I will never dance probably to anyone else's music. I don't know, I'm not really a dancer. I've never been comfortable dancing. I've been more comfortable singing or rapping, but when it comes to my music, I will sit there and jam to my music all day long, because I made this shit, and it's I don't know, so the music that I make is more my vibe anyways, because I'm just trying to express myself through all these different forms. So, what I'm realizing, this is just who I am, is I was put here to do the psychedelics, to explain the psychedelics, to explore the psychedelics, and to explain what I've explored. And maybe you guys can learn, maybe you guys can help me. Because the thing is, the tryptamine world is a giant ocean. So, it's just like the ocean, that when you get to the tryptamine world, you could dip your toes in it, and it's you can kind of, I don't know, just like if you were at a beach, you could start to walk out of the ocean, and eventually you'll hit the point where you can no longer touch the bottom, and that's just the beginning of the deep end of the ocean. Psychedelics are that is it. That's psychedelics for you. That you're going to have to dive into the psychedelic ocean at your own cost, I guess. Yeah. I was just looking at the motherwort. But, It's this thing that I'm realizing that you have to gain your own relationship with it. It doesn't matter how you get there. So I have been practicing and practicing and practicing, and now I'm able to get there with LSD. Me and my girl were laying on the bed, and when the peak finally hit, she, as we were laying on the bed, she finally said, she said something like, "I think I finally understand what letting go is." And when she said that, I knew that I was able to let go, because on almost every trip, I've trained myself to be able to let go to the experience and kind of just jump into the ocean, right? I've taught myself how to just, if you let go, you can dive into the psychedelic ocean. And if you've gained a relationship with the psychedelic, then you will trust that when you dive into the psychedelic ocean, that it will catch you. So this is the thing that I realized, that it's not LSD, it's not DMT, it's not ayahuasca. I used to think it was Mother Ayahuasca. I used to think it was, I don't know, I would say there was this female entity that always tries to contact me when I'm tripping, or like when I take DMT. For this trip itself, the LSD experience, when I was laying there and she was like, she was able to let go and understand what letting go is. Because I've been trying to explain to her what letting go is, because she's never done DMT. So like, I've been trying to explain that letting go, it's like humans are like gripped on to the body, right? And imagine when you're tripping balls, sometimes people will feel anxious, or like they'll feel like this. Like, I don't know how to explain it. All that is them holding on to ideas, to the self, to the body, to the memories, to the thought, to time, to trying to stay in control, to whatever. And as soon as you, in a sense, there's silence, but then, just like in the silence of this, there's birds. I can hear the wind over there. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear the wind over there. So it's like this constant in the background. But in a sense, the psychedelic world has sound. The fractal patterns I started seeing when I let go and I started going into the tryptamine world, it was, similar to this, but not really, because it was more depth, more preciseness in the shapes. Each different fractal caused a fractal echo pattern, in a sense, that if my eyes were closed and I was laying on the bed, I was able to follow those fractal patterns deeper and deeper into the tryptamine world. And so I've never been able to do this with LSD, and I've had little breakthrough moments like this with LSD, where some trips, this is out of the like 200 LSD trips I've had, I've only had about 4, maybe 5 that this has happened, where it opened up and I was able to meet entities. For the first time on LSD, I was able to see the clown jester type beings, in a sense, start to form out of the fractal and like, I don't know how to explain it, but they were really, it just reminded me of DMT. At that point, it was like, I don't know, at that moment in time, if I let go completely to it, I wouldn't have been able to know whether I smoked DMT, whether I took LSD, or whether I died. If I continuously just let that thing flow through me. But because this is the first time that my girl had like a full experience with letting go to it and kind of meeting it, in a sense, I don't know how to explain it. I had to kind of bring myself down a little bit and ground myself a little bit to make sure she was okay. And so I did that, and we had the deepest conversation about the fucking universe and about reality, and I don't know, about God, about life, about death. In a sense, we explained that God is this giant fractal thing. Imagine that there's this giant fluctuating patterned gas, but it's not gas, obviously. It's like a giant fluctuating fractal machine thing, okay? But it looks machinery, because machines are not machines. Machines are just Mother Nature when Mother Nature runs out of space in the 3D. So like, technology is Mother Nature's ability to transcend herself also to like multi-dimensional levels. We are just tools of Mother Nature. That's what I got out of this trip, that men are just the tool that was created, that Mother Earth created, so we can help her in a sense. But now it's the fact that humans have disconnected from Mother Earth. A lot of people don't, we live in a society that is based on business and is based on corruption in a sense, or it's based on money. It's based on the capital gains no matter what type shit. So I don't know, there's just so much shit that went on in this trip that I'm trying to explain to you guys, because like, we went over everything. The fact that like this God thing is alone in space basically, and it creates planets, dimensions, what we would call heaven and hell or whatever the fuck. These are just different levels to this giant thing that's going on that we call life, but really it's just this lonely thing that's floating in space in a sense. And it's the most loneliest thing because it's in space in a sense, flowing through space. Just like right now, this planet is flying through the vast infinite nothingness of space. We think we're just sitting here, but really our entire Milky Way galaxy is moving through the black infinite space. So it's that thing that now it's just like our galaxy is moving through the black infinite space. If you keep zooming out in a sense, dimensions to see whatever, you will eventually see black infinite nothingness all around, but then this thing that we would call God, or that we would call existence, because it is everything, and it sections itself off into multi-things, multi-dimensional, multi-leveled. Here we're half conscious, other places we're more conscious. Some alien species are more conscious than we are. Some alien species are more different genetics. God, in a sense, is fractaling itself out into everything. All consciousness is energy, and in a sense this giant fractal thing that's floating through space alone is trying to search for other things like it. But the saddest thing is that that is all that is. That as much as it's searching in the black infinite nothingness, it's searching like for an eternity, because it's alone. We are alone in the universe. It is just us. You make the you in the fucking universe. That shit is so real. So like, I don't know, there's so much I learned in this trip, from like God to like I don't know, man and women relationships, why relationships fail today. Like we have this idea of like independence or whatever the fuck, but humans are a codependent species that have in a sense codependent relationships with plants. We also have codependent relationships with each other. Humans, so there was this thing about cities, okay? So I'm gonna end the video with this. This thing about cities, we were talking while we were tripping, and we kind of digressed. And a lot of fucking times when you're tripping, just random knowledge will hit you, and you're like, where the fuck did this knowledge come from? But I kind of got the idea, basically, that what was so crazy about this trip is that realizations that seemed like they took a short amount of time, really it was connecting from all the previous trips we've had, in a sense, where it's like all the trips that I have had in my life long before I got with the girl I'm with now. But also all the trips I've had with her have helped me solidify the ideas, because I'm not just experiencing the ideas, she's experiencing the ideas through her own experiences, through her own trips, which reassures me that, okay, this is correct. So, it might not be correct for you, but this is what the fuck I've come up with in my life, and this is why I live my life. I've come to the understanding that I'm not scared to be me. I'm a crazy psychedelic fucking guy. People gonna judge, people gonna talk shit, but that's on them. I trip balls because I love to connect to Mother Nature. I love to connect to what actually is. I love to fly into the tryptamine world and travel dimensions. And this is what I've been doing for years. I don't just talk this shit. This is real life. That is the one thing that I realized during the trip. Be careful. This is not a fucking joke. People are like... The funny thing is that psychedelics are seductive like a beautiful woman. That like... LSD seems sexy, MDMA seems sexy, smoking DMT seems sexy. This shit seems sexy until you have that trip that reminds you of what you actually are. Because when my girl was breaking out of the, I guess what made me come back out of the tryptamine world is when she was breaking out of it, she got freaked out for a second. And I explained to her kind of what freaked her out. And that even freaked her out even more. I mean, I was just saying that where she was getting ready to go, because it was her first experience, in a sense, inward in the tryptamine world with the LSD that vividly. So basically she was trying to just go into that, but then she got scared, and I was explaining that fear is because that place that you were, if you would have kept going, would have been the place you were before you came to Earth. The thing you were before Earth is the thing you were headed towards, in a sense. And it's that thing that, if you've ever had a deep psychedelic experience that makes you completely physically let go of your body, and you are traveling into another fucking world, that other world is the most familiar world because we have all been there. It is the thing that all natives know. I can feel it in the trip when I trip balls. I can feel that this is right, this is my life, and this is what I was meant to do. So, for me, I was meant to trip, explain this shit, make music. I'm trying to start a business, because the problem with this is I'm going to get into this in a whole nother video, but about cities. So, while I was tripping, I came up with this. Me and my girl, we were talking, and I was talking about how I watched this one documentary, and how the natives were talking about how the cities make us sick, and how basically humans will live in the city and they'll complain because the city is making them sick, and they're